Hi, good morning. So today we are going to talk about how to build strong operations practices inside your company. So overall, a strong operational system for your company. So in bigger corporations like Apple, there are designations like Chief Operations Officer, and they're very important to incorporate those practices from the very early on of your company is actually very important, right? So I'm going to list down some of the key practices that you can follow from day one so that you become an operationally strong company. Now the importance is, why do you have to build an operationally strong company is, once you sell something to the customer, your post sales service is very important part in the customer experience overall. And if the customer experience is great, obviously the repeats happen. So everybody tells you this, but they don't tell you that the great secret to great customer experience is investing in operations, right? So I'm going to list down 3 to 4 things that we have done in our companies to achieve strong operational hold, right? So one of the first thing you need to do if you don't have any standard operating practice is list down all the steps that are involved post the order, right? So in case you're fulfilling orders, once you have received an order, what are the steps you do to service the customer? If you're a service company, once you have received the contract, once the sales process is done, how do you what are the interaction steps with the customer, and in between steps, like how much time does the development happen, what is the time to delivery of the project? So list down step by step, and list down them as operational tasks, right? So that's the first thing that you need to do, right? And for each such task, you need to define a standard set of steps, right? So that's the first step. The second step that you need to do is, for each such micro process, right? Like it's a big operation. In between you, each operation is a set of processes that you are going to do, right? So for example, let me give you an example so that it makes very clear. So in the first business we used to do, we had a custom printing operation, right? So it had multiple process. One was design confirmation from the customer. The second step was the print snapshot approval of the first copy we printed. And the third was actually the bulk printing itself. And the fourth was dispatching to the customer and intimating them the logistics details, right? Fifth was once the delivery is received, taking feedback from the customer. So each of this is a small process in itself, right? It's a series of steps. So these has to be really outlined, and each process needs to have a tracker. So we used to have a tracker for each of these three. A tracker is nothing but a simple Google sheet that you can manage in your team and monitor the activities of that particular process on a day-to-day basis. So the third thing you need to do is do daily stand-up meetings to track this process. So I have learned that early on, whenever we start a day late, we have had poor productivity on that particular day, especially with respect to operational roles. So we used to have our stand-ups between 9 and 9:30 or 9 and 10. And when we do that, we list down all the tasks that have to be done for today and what were pending from yesterday. Are we in line and delivery for our customers? And what do we have to do to improve this? So those were the decisions we used to take. What do we have to communicate to different stakeholders? And these were updated in the trackers. And the same things, go down from top management till the bottom. So it creates a lot of clarity of work around the whole day, right? So it's very important to have these daily stand-ups. So we have outlined 3 steps. One was listing the listing the tasks, and second step was to identify the sub process. Third step was to have daily stand-ups, right? And the fourth important step right now is to once you create this process and once it starts once you start delivering things to customer, you have to improve the process. So how do you improve that? Make people the owners of this particular process. So whenever we had certain things that were not working in the system, we kind of improved the system. So instead of doing a one-time change for that particular customer, we instead focused on how do we improve this process so that this issue does not repeat at all, which is what people call as root cause fix or a long-term fix, right? So do a long-term fix by improving the process. So you basically, it's like this, right? You write a set of rules like a constitution, and you add new rules, and you educate your team to follow those rules. So these are things that we used to do. And the last thing that you have to do is measure those things, right? So 2 to 3 important metrics that I would ask everyone to measure for any operation system is, one of the first and foremost thing is, what is the productivity, right? Productivity of each system. What is the productivity of your manufacturing side? What is the productivity on your dispatch side? So in case you're a service operations, what is the productivity on the development side? What is the productivity on the delivery side? So you need to measure that. And second important metric we used to measure is, what is the cost of fulfillment, right? So you can always optimize the speed of delivery to customer or the value of service to customer, but everything comes with a cost, right? Like having 4 developers versus 10 developers is a cost. Same way, having a big warehouse versus a small warehouse is a cost. So everything comes with a cost. So you need to really understand what is the cost of doing the fulfillment for the customer, and accordingly your service levels will fall in play, right? So cost of fulfillment, productivity, and you can also look at smaller metrics at each particular process, like service level metrics at each process with your other vendors. So these are things we generally monitor inside the whole system to build a strong operational system. So I hope this helps you. These principles will help you put out a strong operational system. So in case you guys are having any challenges building an operational, a standard operating practice inside your company, please let me know in the comments, so I'll address them in the next videos to come.